here's one. We uh, we were called out to uh, called out to a certain fire base uh, to carry troops in and put them on the border just before we went into Cambodia. And they had some troops on the border there that were under attack, and they were getting whooped bad. And we went to the place to pick these troops up to carry them in, for to help them out. And we sat there and waiting for the word to take off and go carry the troops in there. But we sat there and we waited all day, sitting there waiting for the word to put them in. And finally it got dark, and we figured that was it, that was all we were going to be able to do. It got dark, but we were surprised. we had to go in and take them out. The ones there, we had to go in and take them out of there in the dark, and which that was kind of crazy, but we always went to get them, and we got out there, and we would go in one helicopter at a time, and the only thing we had to go by on the ground where they were at was a strobe light. But the ground and everything around it was on fire, the bushes and all that, it was on fire, so it was hard to see that daggone light. And finally we did this called a high overhead, where we go around in a small circle going down, so you wouldn't cover a big area, and so you headed down there to pick some up, and you didn't know what to expect. I mean, you was expecting the worst anyhow, because you can't see anything, and you got lights on the helicopter showing up that making you a target. And anyways, we go down there and get all we could on the helicopter and get on out of there. And but I mean, it took a good while to get them out, and we never had. Everything turned out okay. We had the guys night line. We landed down there, and here come the guys to get on the helicopter, and they were hugging my neck when they got on that helicopter. Other outfits, they wouldn't go in to pull them out, and because they afraid they won't get shot down. No. We always went, They would call us, we went. And but we made it down that mission there, which I didn't think we would, and then we were we went on this one mission that was suspected enemy activity in the area there, and we, they we had to go in and pick these guys up, U.S. guys, get them out of the area, and so we always flew treetop level most of the time because you were not a target, and they'd be in the jungle there and they can't hear you coming until you're right on top of them, and that scared the pudding out of you, you know, if it's over the head of you. But so we were doing it like that. Well, we went in. Went into the clearing, headed to the other end where they were at. Of course, we couldn't come in from the other way and sit right down. You know, the whole group of us had to come in at one time there, and it broke loose then. After about halfway down the clearing, started taking fire, both sides of the tree line, and I was shooting stuff. I didn't even know what I was shooting at anymore. I mean, everything was coming out of the daggone tree lines, you know, fire. You could see solid streams of fire coming out of a bush, you know, from a machine gun. And but we were the third helicopter going in. There were 7 of us. The second helicopter got shot down on the way in. He crashed right there in the area, and which that didn't make things good. And anyways, we got on down towards the end, and this one that happened. This bush that was just sitting outside of the tree line that had the flames coming out of, you know, and so I swung my 60 around and I got off about 30 rounds in that, had it, and my daggone 60 jammed on me. So there I was, nowhere to run. Your target, you sit on the edge of a seat, which puts you on the outer edge, so half your body's outside of the helicopter to start with, and the only thing holding you in there is holding on to the machine gun. And but like I said, when it jammed on me, but nothing I could do except try to dodge bullets you could not see, you know, but they're hitting all around you. And it's a feeling that, I mean, you know you're going to die. You know, you got it in your mind right then, you're going to die because you got to go by that machine gun nest there. And I was sitting there squirming out in that line. I was really trying to dodge bullets I couldn't see. And that's a fear that is hard to deal with, yeah. Anyways, we made it. Well, I was able to, whenever you're coming in a place like that and you go to taking fire, you always have a red smoke that you throw out in the area where you're taking fire from. And the Cobra, of course, whenever we went on a mission that we knew there was suspected enemy activity, we always had a Cobra, 1 or 2 Cobras with us, just circling around above us in case we got in trouble. And well, when that house took fire, I threw the red smoke out, and Cobra come in, and I mean just like that, he come in and started working out on the tree line and all, and it was really, I mean, amazing at what was going on. You see the jungle disintegrating right in front of you, and at least, well, from here to that big tree right there, that's how close they would come in and shoot rockets in and miniguns right in the tree line on everything. And I mean, it was all of this happening at one time. You don't know what to think. You're scared. And you're wishing that your 60 didn't jam on you, especially when you got to go by that area. And but I made it by them. I had bullet holes in the helicopter, around me, and had one bullet hole to come in. The 60 was mounted on a pipe, about that big around, and it set up. You were sitting positioned about like this, with the handles on the 60. And the pipe was right here, and there was a pipe sticking out off the side of the helicopter where you could put your feet on and all. And I was ready to kiss somebody when we got out of there. It was, I mean, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. And when we got through to the other end of the clearing, started putting troops in on the helicopter, and they put two bodies, U.S. bodies in, laid them on the floor of the helicopter, and got in, and I've seen a lot of deaths, and but it got me. I mean, it really bothered me when we got to the end and put the two bodies on there. You could smell the bodies. They didn't stink or anything, but you could smell them. You could tell they were dead. And so it puts so many thoughts in your head that you've never dreamed of ever facing. It's just a lot to handle. Like 18 years old, and but you get up, you end up, you get an attitude, and you get to where you can't wait to get out there and kill them. That's a bad thing to say, but it's either you or them,
Right.
And oh man, like I say, I've had them jump on the helicopters and hugging my neck, getting them out. And most times, nobody else would go in and get the people out, get their own people out. And they're afraid that they're going to be shot down and all. But we never hesitated. We went right on in. Whatever was going to face, we had to face it. And but it all starts building. It goes building up on you, and to where you don't think anymore. All you want to do is get the troops out of there and keep them from getting shot. And which is hard to do because you're a target to start with, and it was crazy. It was crazy, pure crazy. I was almost a Looney Tune boy when I come home, from all that mess in my brain. I met some good people over there, especially the pilots. The pilots, most of them were, most of them were in the early 20s, and but they could fly. Boy, they could fly those helicopters, and they would get us out of places you wouldn't think, and risk everything to get us out. And so, but every time we had one to get killed or lose a helicopter, it was hard on you, And we went on a mission one day that we didn't know where we were going, and there was other outfits that were joining us in the air, and but they finally come over the radio and was telling us that we were heading into a zone that was full of VC, and there was probably 40 helicopters in this flight, and it was so bad they sent in one helicopter to start with that put out a smoke, spray smoke in the area for the choppers coming in behind them, and put a smoke screen, but they had us separated, six helicopters at a time to go in there, and so we started. The rest of us, while one group would go in, we'd be circling around up, waiting our turn to go in. And when the first group went in, they took fire, and some of our guys were in that first group, and everything was fine when they went in, but when they started out and got over the trees, it all broke loose, and you could see them. You could see it flying, down below, and see where they were going, and it was just thick jungle there, and but this one helicopter had some of our guys on it. When they come out of there, they took fire, and they got hit, and the fuel cell on the helicopters is on the bottom of the helicopter. You take a tracer round into that fuel cell, you're gone. And but we heard them. You could hear what they were saying over the radio, and you could see. They said they were on fire, and they were trying. They were flying along at treetop level. They're trying to get out of there, get somewhere where they could set the helicopter down, and but there was no place to set it down, and you could see the helicopter from where the gunner, where I sat, there back is the tailbone. Yeah, and but they said they come on the radio and they were screaming. I mean, you could see them flying over the tops of the trees, and see a stream of fire from right where the gunner would be sitting to the end of the tailbone, and nowhere to sit it down, and you're watching all this stuff, and you're hearing it on the radio, and then all of a sudden, the crew chief and the gunner jumped out of the helicopter because the flames were coming in on them. And of course, on helicopters you don't have parachutes, anything. And watching them, they jump out, and they're probably flying a good 70 miles an hour, and nothing but trees there. So you know what's going to happen when they jump out. They're going to be hitting into the trees, and you can guess at what it's doing to them. But the pilots, they couldn't do anything. And the flames kept whirling around and coming in towards the pilots. And they were, you could hear them hollering. And there you are, sitting up there, circling around watching all this happen. And know that you got to go back, you got to go down there. Your turn, coming up. And, well, they called everything off real quick. And they sent in our helicopter. They sent us in to find the pilots. They ended up putting the helicopter down in a little small place that's full of trees cut down and logs and stuff like that in it. And they went ahead and they sat down in that area, and they told us we had to go in and get them. And we got down there and sat down in that area close as we could to the helicopter, and we jumped out. The gunners, we jumped out and ran over there to the helicopter and opened the door. There was the pilot sitting there. His flight suit, was more or less melted on him, melted to them. The helmet melted on them, and they were hollering in pain and begging you to get them out, and we, well, must be a guy living up there, but I mean, it's hard to describe something like that, and you're just looking at it, and we got one pilot out, and we managed to get him over to our helicopter, and put him in it, laid him in the open there, and I don't know if he was crying, you know. I mean, he was burnt. Then we turned around and ran back over there to get the other one out, and we managed to get him out, but he was screaming. I mean, because he was on. His body's been burnt, you know, and we managed to get him back over there to the helicopter and put him on, and got out of there. Of course, they flew in. A Cobra come in and blew that helicopter up. But I'll never forget those pilots. And I can see them plain as day right now. You don't forget stuff like that over there. You're gonna have it the rest of your life. I've seen so many sights to do with death that it's unreal. It's unreal what you see with dead bodies. But those pilots, I don't know if they ever found the crew, because like I say, it was nothing but thick jungle everywhere, and the pilots got sent back to the States. I don't know if they lived or not. You know, I never heard how they did. Of course, they never found out. Never found my friends either. And of course, there probably wasn't much to find. But we were given the rest of the day off. We're going in and getting those pilots out of there.